From the Oklahoman newsroom, you're watching the Press Row. I'm Jenny Carlson here with Barry Trammell. Barry, we're right in the middle of these NBA playoffs. Thunder taking a slight breather here as we wait for the start of a second-round series against the Spurs, that being on Saturday. And I think a lot of eyes are going to be on the two superstars playing those wing positions, that being Kevin Durant and Kawhi Leonard. Those two guys, I mean, all-stars for sure, and would even be battling out for a spot on that all-NBA first team. But Kawhi Leonard, Barry, has developed at a rate that we haven't seen a lot of guys develop in this league. And he's not only huge to the success now, but more long-term. His development has really kind of kept this team together.
Yeah, he's done a great job turning himself into a superstar, but he's also given the Spurs new life. I mean, look back 3-4 years ago, we were all talking the Spurs' demise, the end of a dynasty. Tony Parker even talked about, maybe it's time to break it all up. But what's happened with the three old guys, Ginobili, Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, they've been able to continue to play competitively while the Spurs develop a new superstar, sign LaMarcus Aldridge in free agency, and presto, they've got a great roster with the old guys not having to carry the load near as much. So Kawhi Leonard is really he's transformed the Spurs, and he's basically been able to sort of build a bridge over the rebuilding or the retooling. So the Spurs haven't even missed a step.
Yeah, we love puns around here. And at our staff meeting this week, as we were talking about Kawhi Leonard, we decided that the headline on his story should be "The Bridge Over River Kwai."
I don't know much of a whistler, but you get what I mean. Think French is mustard.
Yeah. I mean, this guy, as you said, he has really bridged what could have been a difficult time for this Spurs franchise. At some point, it hasn't happened yet, but at some point, the old three is going to decide this is it. But they've been able to continue to play at somewhat of a diminished amount of minutes, diminished importance, as Kawhi Leonard has brought the next generation with him. Danny Green, obviously, he's a guy that got developed within that Spurs organization, played overseas for a minute before getting brought back to that organization and continuing to develop. But, if you don't have Kawhi Leonard going from all NBA, all defensive, Barry, I mean, this was a great defensive player. There were some people that thought, maybe he could be as good a defender as, say, Tony Allen or somebody like that. He's not only a great defender, now he's evolved the offensive game. Like I said, this kind of development of a player doesn't happen all the time. He's really remade his game, it seems like year after year after year.
Yeah, and you're right. He was drafted. Now the Spurs saw it. I mean, they traded an established starter, George Hill, for the rights to draft Kawhi Leonard at 14 or 15. I can't remember which, but the Spurs saw the potential. But he's really even surpassed, I think, what Greg Popovich and R.C. Buford and those guys foresaw. And he's turned himself into an offensive force. And really, I mean, to supplant Kevin Durant on the All-NBA first team, which we think he's going to this season, that's an amazing transformation. And we've seen guys really develop and become what you didn't think they could. Russell Westbrook's a great example. But Westbrook, at least, was a phenomenal athlete, and you thought, this guy's got...
he showed shades of the offensive skills that he now has refined.
But Leonard, not so much. I mean, Leonard, you thought was going to be a good, solid player, but he's turned into a superstar. So it's going to be a big-time matchup. I don't know if this is good news or bad news for Kevin Durant. Leonard won't be on KD all the time.
Yeah.
They'll put him on Westbrook some. He's 6'7", long wingspan. He can bother Russ. Mm-hmm. So he's a defensive force for the Spurs, no doubt about it.
Well, and as Eric Horn, one of our Thunder writers, wrote about Kawhi Leonard in the Wednesday editions of the Oklahoman and on News OK, this is a guy that can basically be sort of a neutralizer, a mere opposite, if you will, of Kevin Durant, because he can score with Kevin Durant while also guarding him. You don't have a lot of guys in the league like that. We've talked and we've heard over the years, do the Thunder have somebody to match up against X? Do they have somebody to defend Y? Well, there's a lot of teams around the league that say the same thing about guarding Kevin Durant. And here Kawhi Leonard is, a guy who's able to guard him, to give him problems, and now he's evolved this offensive game. It's going to be really interesting to see at the end of games who has the advantage in that scoring matchup between those two. Like you say, it's not a perfect exact ratio because they will move Kawhi Leonard around and the Thunder will move Kevin Durant around some on defense. But who outscores who could really go a long way to determining who wins games in this series, this Western Conference semifinals.